I mean, the main event actually of 2013 was, of course, the acquisition of all the assets that we then eventually bought in December from NLB and NKBM. As you, I think, are well aware of, that we bought assets worth with a transfer price of 1 billion approximately, and we paid with basically issuing 2 bonds as a payment to the banks, which gave the banks basically very well-performing assets instead of the non-performing assets. I just want to remind you that the nominal value of the assets that we purchased from the banks were 3.3 billion. So 3.3 billion were basically sort of paid out from the banks to the creditors. At the point where we actually acquired the assets in December last year, the market value of those assets were approximately 690 million. And the estimation of the market value was done by the European Commission's DG Comp, and they have to do that in order to basically assess how much is state aid involved in the transfer prices. And quite simply, the state aid component is the difference between the transfer price at the time of the transfer and the market value. And in the case of the assets we acquired, we were made aware of these sort of decisions. They became, I think, public in April on the website of DG Comp. Those decisions specify that in the cases of the 2 banks, the state aid component was 130 and 190 million respectively, given that the total state aid that was sort of transferred from BMC as part of the overall restructuring package, i.e. it also included the recapitalization of the government. But the part that sort of involved us was 325 million. So part of the transfer price, 325 million, was the component of state aid. It sort of means that we took on the loss already generated in the bank system to the amount of 325 million. That's sort of our starting point. That's where we start from. And our mission is now, of course, to make sure that we help to recover as much of those losses already done to the extent possible.